So today we're going to be doing a wonderful sketch on this Fabriano C-toned paper. We're going to be using black, grey and white for the shadows, the midtones and the highlights, and then we're going to be setting fire to it and watching it burn. Now it's easy in our short human lives to get a bit obsessed with targets and results. Surely our lives will be so much better as soon as we reach that certain weight, as soon as we achieve a specific amount of wealth, or maybe a nice house, or maybe we have enough followers. My whole education was about passing exams, reaching arbitrary targets. It was only in later life that I really learnt the simple joy of actually learning new things. I know that in many ways, sensible limits keep us healthy. I mean, we all like to monitor our blood pressure, or we all keep a budget to enable us to survive month to month. But ultimately, are we getting fatigued by the tyranny of our own targets? It's a lot of T's in that sentence. So we all know that to learn and develop your art practice, you have to progress from a point to another point. So you have to start here to get to there. But what is there? Is it a monetary value for your art? Is it a number of followers? Is it recognition in your art community? And are those targets actually getting in the way of you really enjoying art? An art practice can often look like this. Can't do art, practice, can do art. So let's have a little closer look at this idea. Both the beginning and the end are interchangeable in the sense that they're sort of arbitrary metrics. We exist in a culture in the West where art with a capital A, is somehow legitimized by being placed in a gallery. It only qualifies as having value when it's framed and it's given a price tag. My young children produce artwork and I value it hugely. I also value the last paintings that my mother did. So two sides of the art journey, a 4-year-old and a 70-year-old. But both of those have an equivalent value for me. Both of those, for me, are completely priceless. So next we have the bit in the middle, practice. Now, as we know, practice makes perfect. Now, this phrase for me has always been completely wrong because perfectionism prevents people from starting to even create art in the first place. Practice is not a word I like to associate with a creative process like art. It's a word I associate with doctors and lawyers. I prefer the word play or progress. Now, this video is not a deep dive into play, so before anarchy sets forth and everyone panics, what I mean by play is structured play. Well, some of the time. So, in the old process, we have can't do art, practice, can do art. And I want to tweak that a little bit, and let's change it from can do art, play, can do art, or death. Now, the idea of death being at the end of the journey is sort of debatable in a sense, because many artists achieve great recognition after their deaths. But it's certainly not measurable how much pleasure that will give them in whatever afterlife they may or may not have shuffled off to. I find all this super interesting, as I believe that we judge most of our successes, certainly in the Western world, according to nonsense that's fed to us by the marketing and advertising industries. So who is happier? Is it the person that works 18 hours a day, never sees their kids but has the brand new Mercedes? Or is it a family living on a self-sufficient cabin in the woods? This is, of course, a huge oversimplification, but my point is that success, happiness, marriage, normality, creativity, so many metrics are culturally specific. Wealth in one country might be 100k a year and a yacht. In another country, wealth might be a good supply of clean water and a cow. You can choose how to value your own life, really. You can choose how to define your own success. So now, I'm going to tell you my secret. This is the model that's in my head, and this is how I find happiness with my art. Now, firstly, I want you to understand what really makes me a successful artist. It's certainly not the money I make from my art. It's not the amount of likes and subscribers. It's not all the lovely comments you guys put in my videos, but I do like them, so keep them coming. What really makes me a successful artist is the moment I clear my mind and start creating. It's the starting. It's the beginning. It's the ending of procrastination. I often think it's like jumping into a swimming pool on a hot day. Everything just goes quiet. Everything becomes peaceful. I've learned through many years of creative work, through life and through all the friction and nonsense that life throws at you, that art doesn't really matter. So if I screw up a drawing, does it matter? Will my wife leave? Will my children not love me anymore? I could sit down and do a drawing and at the end of it, I could burn it. It wouldn't matter. The joy is the process. I guess you could say it's a little bit like exercise, or a lot of things we do in life, like eating a really beautiful meal, is what do we have left tangibly after that process? Surely the process of doing is pleasure enough. So thinking about it really, in reality, my art journey looks a lot more like this. It's a little bit like sort of links in a chain where you have doing art, pleasure, doing art, pleasure, doing art, pleasure. It's a continuum, really learning through play and enjoyment over weeks, over months, over years. But it's also satisfying that compulsion to create, that compulsion to do something, to make a mark. Each piece is not important. when you view the whole process and what that process means to you, whether it's peace of mind, whether it's mental health, whether it's just learning a new skill. So let's have a look at this finished drawing. Isn't it beautiful? I really enjoyed drawing this. I think it was a really interesting experiment. I've never really played with this coloured paper before. So I love doing this drawing, but so what? What happens now? Well, it'll probably go in a drawer, and it'll probably be thrown away in a few years. In this case, I want to really focus on the value of doing. I don't want to get hung up on the end results. I could do the drawing again. It's only paper. I'm gonna burn it. Maybe this is a metaphor for a post-capitalistic world. Or maybe how AI will replace human creative expression. Maybe it's a pathetic protest. A rage against the middle-aged life. Getting fat. Getting bald. Maybe it's just a Yorkshire man being pretentious. We may never know.